Hello, and welcome back to Homework Hustle, the podcast that explores the science and art of raising curious, confident kids while boosting their smarts, and hopefully while keeping your sanity intact. I'm Shubhada, the founder of Brainology. Now, today's episode is a little different and very special. I've got someone amazing joining us, a children's author and a publisher like me who's not just creating beautiful books, but also helping bring Indian mythology to life for our young readers in a truly meaningful way. And we have a very interesting discussion planned ahead. And I'm looking forward to this one. So say hello to the lovely Chitwan Mittal from Adidev Press. Welcome, Chitwan.
Thank you, Shubda, for that wonderful introduction. I am so happy to be here today and to chat with you.
Great. So we are really looking forward. This is a publisher and author to a publisher and author, Chitwan. Okay, so let's dive in, shall we? Now, folks, this is a session on mythology. So, how can we not do an origin story? We all love a good origin story, right? So, tell us, what's the genesis of Adidev Press, Chitwan?
So, Shubda, as you know, I am an expat mom. I live in Singapore with my little children.
Uh-huh.
And when I started Adidev Press, they were even more little. And I think when you live abroad, you more consciously try and make sure you expose them to the culture and mythology and, just give them that rich environment of, just being seeped in their culture, which is not easily available. So I started looking for, books and other materials for them, and I couldn't find what I was looking for, beautifully produced books that tap into universal values while presenting their history and folklore of India, of South Asia to them. And that's how Adidev Press came to be.
So, that's, every deft and multitasking mom. If you can't find it, just quickly make one.
Absolutely.
So, how many books have you done? That's very interesting.
We have about 35 books now.
Oh, wow. And so, you said South Asia. What does that mean? So I did not hear India. So that's very interesting. When
So we have, for example, a book on Buddha. Like we have a book called Peace with Buddha. It teaches the essential values of what Buddha said. Of being
Mhm.
desireless and finding happiness in that. And I
Mhm.
think that is not something that's exclusive to India. That is all of
That's
Southeast
right.
Asia.
Yeah, in fact, he was
In
born in
Southeast Asia.
Nepal, and his yeah.
Yes, and his teachings are popular all over from here in Singapore or Japan or Thailand or
That's right.
and
That's
then
right.
or Sri Lanka. And we have a book on Indian foods and culture, which are similar. We have similar foods in, let's say, Pakistan or Sri Lanka or Bangladesh. So I think we have some sort of a common culture as well.
That is right.
So
When I get the point of knowing your mythology, it kind of gives you your cultural bearings. And somewhere I think that for our generation, I'm sure you'll agree with me, it came very easily to us because I think mythology was a part of our social and cultural ritual. So, bedtime with grandmom was a ton of stories, right, from Indian mythology, or even watching Ram Leela. So, I think in for our generation, something that was social and cultural ritual as part of being Indian. What do you think for the current generation? What is the role that mythology plays?
you've hit the nail on the head, Shubda. Like you said, we grew up with it all around us with our grandparents. I still remember my grandmother telling me stories, and I
Same here.
remember every Sunday watching one episode of Ramayan. And that's how we learned. That's how we learned about our mythology and folklore and etc. But now it's not that easily accessible. Parents are both working. Often they are living as nuclear families because their jobs take them to different cities from the grandparents or even different countries. So I think parents are making, like I said, a conscious effort that we want to introduce this to our children. It is important for them to be culturally rooted. I think it helps them formulate their own identity
They're
better
bearing.
if they get their bearings in their cultural identity. They
I
understand
agree.
the stories which are part of their culture. And not just that, that is of course very, very important, but also mythology can play a very important role in teaching kids values and life lessons. So that's something that we wanted to keep in mind when we were creating our books. And also I feel that the younger generation, they don't want to just accept everything that is given to them without understanding. So
Yeah.
I
We've
remember
taught them to ask why, and they ask why.
and it's very important. And I think it's even because they're getting smarter, I think, with every generation. We were told prayers at bedtime, we would memorize them, we would just say it, but we never asked what is the meaning. I think the next generation is more curious, more interested in knowing why, what. So we keep these things in mind when we create our books on culture, on mythology, our books on Tulsidas's prayer, Hanuman Chalisa, my first Hanuman Chalisa, it's called. We'll give the original verse, we'll give also the translation, but we'll also give the word meanings of each and every word from the original verse. So,
That's very
and
interesting.
if required, we'll also give a asterisk and give a little backstory so children understand the prayer. And I think that has been really appreciated because I think it kind of clicks with the next generation.
Okay. So my next question is related. I think you have, covered rightly some part of it. How do you build relevance for Indian mythology for the current generation of, let's say digital native, international exposure kids? I feel that they're consuming a lot of Harry Potter, Percy Jackson. So, they relate more to Hogwarts than Hastinapur. You, I don't know.
I think your questions are really hitting the nail on the head. They're very, very insightful. That it is very important when you create books or any other materials to present to a child. It's important to keep the child at the center and see what is the child's needs, the child of today. So, if we want to give him something rooted in culture, we have to presented in a way that makes it accessible to their mind at the moment. So, I mean, if you see our Hanuman Chalisa, for example, it is, it doesn't, all the characters don't look like they are from, let's say, 100 years ago or 50 years ago, the books that we had
Something
before.
that they are not able to relate to.
So the demons, for example, always in our books were always dark skinned with horns, but it doesn't have to be that way. And we've shown demons as like these forms which take the shape of, not like, they have little fluid shapes. And the way the artwork is done, it seems more like uh, like you said, Hogwarts or Percy Jackson. It's more international, it's universal. It
Right.
is the Hanuman looks like a superhero. He's
Very nice. So
so
your visual references are more modern.
yes, they're global. So we're taking from the global, because these stories are not necessary. I mean, they're rooted in our culture, yes, but they have universal
The
values.
values are universal.
Yes, and
The
like if you take the
cause at the
example of
center.
yeah,
Nice. So, Chitwan, asking this question on behalf of the parents, and given the fact that you've done a lot of thinking and a lot of work on this, if I, as a parent today, want to introduce mythology to kids, what would, how should I approach it? How do I make it age appropriate? How do I make it engaging? Forget age appropriate. Uh,
yes.
how should I go about it?
Fortunately for us, there's a lot of books available these days that are centered on mythological stories, on the themes of good versus evil, doing what's right, and we are not so strapped for choice like we were a little while back. But I think from my own example, I find that maybe you can relate them to certain activities that will make it interesting for the children. So, for example, what I've done is if there is a festival, like there's Ganesh Chaturthi or something, I've taken my kids to the Ganpati temple and I've carried along some picture books on Ganesha. And I've just, while we're sitting there and having prasad, I'm like, okay, let's read some Ganesha stories, and they find it interesting. What I've also done is I've on Janmashtami, I've said, okay, let's call a bunch of your friends and I'll do a storytelling session or we'll call some people and let's do different storytelling session. So if it can be made into a little activity, if it can be made into a group thing with the which
Fun.
involves their friends, yes, the idea is to definitely make it fun.
Right. Okay, so this is a serious question, Chitwan. Mythology is not just stories. Actually, these are complex subjects. There is layers of, philosophy, way of looking at life, um, that's present uh, in mythology. How do you deconstruct this to a child when you do your book?
You're absolutely right. And I think I have always tried to make the complex simple. You have to peel the layers and come to the heart of what is in the philosophy. So if you see our books, Service with Guru Nanak or Kindness with Mahavira, we try to go to the heart of the philosophy of the teacher. So well, whilst there is so many things you can say, I mean, and that they have left us messages and said, but we want to these you're trying to teach children who are 4 or 5. So I think it is a in this process of creating these books or educational materials, we need to focus on what is at the heart of what we're trying to teach,
Mm.
and what is this how will the kid relate to it. So for example, in Service with Guru Nanak, where we say Guru Nanak ji has said that we must serve, and you can serve with your body or serve with your mind or serve with the things that you own. Now, this message, we again then said, let's give an example of each thing. Because
Mm.
how does it relate to a child? If you just tell him abstractly this philosophy that service you must serve, but what does it mean to a child? So then
Correct.
we give an example in the book. That's what is serve with your body. You can go at the end of the day when the teacher is tired and cleaning up the classroom. You can say, "Can I help you, ma'am? Can I help you clean up the room?" How do you serve with your mind? Like for the child, it's a very abstract concept. So we
That's
said, okay,
right.
if your friend is struggling with some math work or something in school, some homework, you can say, here, let me teach you how to do this. That's serving with your mind. And how do you serve with your things that you own? So we gave an example of, if your friend has dropped his tiffin box and he has nothing to eat, you can say, let's share. So that's your things that you're sharing. Like, you can
Mm.
share with me.
Very interesting.
And
Very, very
so I think
interesting.
you have to peel the layers and have to keep the child at the center and say, what will the child take home from this? What will the child think?
Completely agree with you. We keep repeatedly telling parents that if you're handling a complex subject, like we've just done a book on financial literacy, you have to your go-to method should be analogies,
Yes,
right? So you have to bring it to them.
yes.
Okay, so now my next question is, and this is a question we get from a lot of parents on generally on books, and that is, how do I select books for my child? And while we get this question many times, I'm going to ask you, how do I, as a parent, select mythological books for my child?
I think you have to go with I mean, when you have so much exposure, you go to these stores, there's so many variety of books available. You have to go with the one that kind of speaks to you. You have
Mhm.
to find books that will inspire and uplift. So I think children are moving away from books which are very preachy and very didactic.
Correct.
Your book should be beautifully produced. It should be with lovely illustration. It should have text that is written in a contemporary way, in simple language. Sometimes I find text in children's book is very complex, and when you're reading to them, you have to explain 3 word meanings. It takes away the joy of reading. So it needs to be well written with the child in the center. The child, it should be age appropriate, the text, and the images should be very uplifting. You should
To
at the
call
end of the
out to
day,
them.
we should want to see it again and again. So and it should also be beautifully produced. One thing we do at Aditya Press is we always want the book to be special. We want it to be like not something that falls apart. It should be beautiful to touch and feel. So the child should treasure it, should be like excited to go back to it. So you should look at the quality of the writing, the quality of the images, and the heart of the message that the book has.
Right. That was fantastic, Chitwan, and very, very enlightening. I'm amazed. I'm going to get some of your books. So, thank you. So, folks, that's a wrap for this episode of Homework Hustle. And a huge thank you to Chitwan Mittal from Adidev Press for joining us. And really sharing so many wonderful insights. I think, Chitwan, you really, worked on the entire blueprint as to how you will take mythology to children. And I'm, quite delighted with that. So, parents, if this episode gave you ideas or made you smile, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss out on new content. You can also follow us on Instagram at Brinology1, where we share fun parenting tips, book recommendations, and all things learning and growing. So, until next time, keep hustling. And Chitwan, I look forward to meeting you.
Thank you so much, Shubhra, for having me here.
Thank you.